information as to what this meeting was all about, and on, you know, actually on the Southend Dispatch. Don't everybody knows about the Southend Police Dispatch, but that was one of the things we had. Southend Police Dispatch, then it went to Essex Police. I spoke to a community officer within the station, and she said, I'll do a side letter, but we will get it back. So we've got both now. I find Southend, you know, I'm not really over interested in what happens in and around Essex. I'm interested in what South goes on in Southend, but I think this will be addressed.
Saffron Walton's really interesting.
Yeah. So going on to that, I've got two things. I'll rattle through and you can answer them afterwards if you like. What I'd like to know, is there any record of the number of released people doing early time, like coming out doing after doing a few stints in prison? They're being released all over the place. So is there any number recorded in the areas, you know, because it's going to give extra work for the police anyway. And the other side of it, was there any consultation with you guys, the chiefs, the superintendents, whatever, and Roger, yourself, that these people would be released like this? Because I think it's going to give us all a lot of extra work, and the police are already stretched to the limit, because I know by the fact that I go to LCM meetings, I bring up certain things that happened in the town. About 2 meetings ago, first time in 20 years, I had to make certain criticisms because the length of time that people were being spoken to, of records being picked up of the cameras where things had gone wrong and things like that. And one other point I would raise, and this is probably down Roger's more, is the concerns of, you know, the extra funding for the police. It comes up that, you know, on the council, you know, community charges, but with what's going on at the moment, I will sort of say this is going to be a bit of a headache for a lot of people, because I know you generally go for the maximum, no disrespect, but I know you need it.
Haven't always, but have, yes.
Yeah, but as I say, it is a concern, because with what's going on at the moment, there's a lot of people going to be suffering. We're not going to go into detail because we know what's going on at the moment, but I think eventually they're going to be sort of asking for community charge, and that is one of the things that comes up. But the more people that come into the town, which is happening, the people that are being released is giving more work, so you need more police. But in all honesty, some of the residents can't afford what's going on at the moment anyway. So I would ask you to look at that one very closely, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think you'd like to come in on the first point.
Yeah. Just touching on your first point when you mentioned dispatch and local community messaging. So dispatch is something that I'm really keen to expand for yes. Southend. So Southend at the moment's got about 1,700. That only started in October. So the 2 engagement officers that I've got that are responsible for that and getting that message out there, pardon the pun, is to really drive that and increase it and get the news out that we're doing. So one of the things that I've noticed in my short period of time that I've been here is there's an awful lot of work that we're doing that we're not telling people about. So it's something that I'm really keen to get out on a weekly basis every Wednesday to say this is what we're doing in Southend. And it may well be theme specific, like the speeding or the e-scooters, just messages like that. So I'm really keen to increase that. And across the county, there's only 30,000 dispatches that go out per week, but Southend alone is only 1,700. But it's something that we're going to be using more, because it's something that's straight from the horse's mouth. It's not influenced by social media. It's straight and it's free as well, because some people choose not to use social media. So it's an email straight into your inbox, if you like, on a Wednesday to tell you what we're doing. So that was the first bit.
Very quickly on that, when if I might interject on that is a situation I have dealt with, well, I would say Lindsay, that way, very closely, and all of a sudden, just recently, because I've done a lot of chasing around on this to get this all sorted out, and on the LCMs, but what actually happened was, a contact in the Civic Centre retired. She passed it on to somebody else, so I said, can you give my name as Clyde? If I want to know anything on the LCMs or when they're going to happen and things like that, as soon as I say to the Civic Centre, my name is Clyde, we get someone to talk to me. Yes, that's happened. But just recently when I spoke to her, because there's been a change from, you know, the councillors in the ward, like, you know, the people running the council, the person in the Civic Centre could not get that information anymore. Mm-hmm. So she said, if you talk to Lindsay again, she gives me the authority, then I'll do it. So it's been a lot of running around to get this organised up and running, basically, on the LCMs. And it finally worked. I mean, one of the councillors here tonight actually, you know, because what actually happened at the end of the day. But it has been a bit of a chase around. But as I say, it's trying to get more and more people. And I would also say, when I've got councillors here, and we do too, just respectful, but very rarely do we see many councillors at these LCM meetings. I know sometimes they've got other meetings, but there's a lot. And I notify some of the top people. One in particular, I won't give a name, but it's a responsibility on you know, public protection, not here. And I think that's absolutely disgusting. Anyway.
Thank you. I'm just going to answer your point about the prison releases, because I think
yes,
it's very topical, isn't it?
It's very highly, yes.
So just to provide a bit of context or some reassurance, really. So, as an example, if you've got a person that's in prison for 10 years, they'll serve half of their sentence, they'll serve 5 years, they've brought that forward to 40% of their sentence, so they'll be released after 4 years. So it's people that would have been released anyway, albeit they're being released slightly earlier. So just to reassure people, these people are obviously going into communities, but we've got a system in place across the whole county where we know which people are coming to Southend, as an example. They're allocated an officer and they're visited just to make sure we know where they are and to provide any support that they may need, because we need to know. So it's to make sure that we know where they are, who they're living with, phone number, intelligence, that sort of thing, just to reassure that we do visit each one.
That's reassuring what you're telling me now, because as I say, it just seems it's just running amok. And I know I didn't, but I would also say hopefully you were notified or was asked a question, what are your feelings
so
on that?
I'll answer that second part,
because
as the chair of the Essex Local Criminal Justice Board, absolutely. So the prisons and probation and the Home Office all fed in. Assistant Chief Constable Lucy Morris has been coordinating the operation across the county to do exactly what you were saying, so we know exactly who they are. There were, from Chelmsford Prison, there were 5 people released into Essex in total, including those and the others from elsewhere. There were 51 people released on the 10th of September. We know who they all are, we know where they live, they are being monitored. One has reoffended and is already back inside. So we're on it. From the prisoner's point of view, the benefit is they were in a situation where so many people were in the prison without having yet been sentenced, that when the sentences were happening, they were releasing them without a plan. Creating this bit of extra capacity by early release, the prison is welcoming, because it's meaning they can actually manage people through the process, talk to probation, and release people with a plan around how to rehabilitate them and hopefully stop them reoffending in future. So it's a more structured approach, but really what we need is more prison capacity.
Very quickly, I don't need much. Very quickly on that, I think that there has been some criticism on that when some have been released and there's been next to no sort of control on that situation.
That's not happening here in Essex. That's the point I was trying to make. And I've heard you on the council tax, but my main thrust will be to get crime down and to support the fire and rescue service in getting fire and rescue, getting
I'll
fire
give you a
down.
uniform then.
Well,
that'd be one less to take on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love it, but it would be a breach of the law.
No, I thank you for the answers. Thank you.
Just to move in, as dispatch was mentioned there is also a PFCC newsletter which goes out every week, and you can sign up to receive that on the PFCC website, and it complements dispatch. It has a lot of similar things, but we have a particular PFCC slant on it. Now, gentleman here, then gentleman there, and then lady there, and then gentleman over there. So, there we go.
Hi, John Rowe. I'm a resident of Warrior Square, a place you've probably heard of.
Yes, been to.
Now, after the machete incident on the seafront some time back, right, all the councillors, everybody, the local spokesman, it's a one-off incident. This is people coming to the town. Well, this sort of thing has gone on for 3 years in Warrior Square. We've sent videos up of people with machetes to the police, and never even got a phone call back, right? It's regular. The antisocial behaviour in Warrior Square is persistent, and every week, and when I say every week, we're talking probably 4 to 5 days a week. the usual suspects are gang people, urinating, defecating, drinking alcohol. Now, your council put up a great big sign in that square. It's got 20 things on offer. I don't know whether it's a challenge for these people to tick off every box on that sign, but they're doing the lot. They're peeing, they're defecating, they're throwing glass everywhere. Now, all over the skate park, every day, all over the field where the children's play area is, where young children play, if you walk round there, there is broken glass everywhere. The other week I called in the police, right? It's the same constant group of people in that square. Young lads, young underage girls who we know are underage, getting fed bottles of spiced rum and putting it in Coke bottles, and of course the police, well, they don't actually patrol in the evening. There's a lot of neighbours here, they're constantly phoning the police. 101 is a complete waste of time, because by the time you fill a report in, right, you feel like a criminal yourself. The council report on my Southend is the same. And all I got back after that, doing an antisocial report, was we'll put more patrols in the area, right? The matter's closed, right? We've been constantly asking for police to patrol that area at night, right? We phone up when the gang is brewing. The other week, I phoned 999 on the 23rd of August at 6 minutes past 6. 2 police turned up, 4 police turned up, right? Bottles had started to be thrown, smashed up. You don't have to be Mystic Meg to see where it's going. The police came straight to my door in uniform in front of 25 to 30 youths, right, flagging me up, right? Now, they said they're celebrating their GCSEs. My wife works in a school. Most of them aren't old enough to take a GCSE, the girls. They are a big problem, the noise. If you go and say anything to them, you're a pedo, you know, you're just shrugged off. Now, this same group of blokes, I then witnessed kicking hell out of a bloke in the high street. And afterwards in the paper, no arrests were made, right? It used to be called causing an affray, I believe. About 8 or 9 youths kicking a guy on the floor. The same ones that were in Warrior Square Park. They seem to be the untouchables, we call them. Recently, another neighbour violently assaulted after they tried to break in his house. I'll let his wife talk about that. I think she's about to talk, but because I don't want to hijack it. But it's got to the point where they've crossed the line. They used to be assaulting each other. The incident with the machetes, I told the police they're on. These people have all carrying knives. 10 past 6 when they turned up. It brewed and brewed and brewed. 8 o'clock or gone 8, I make another phone call, 999. They're now chasing each other, split into 2 groups, running around the park with machetes. I sent the pictures to the police again, outside my house with machetes, with carving knives, the lot. It's a wonder there hasn't been a murder in Warrior Square. So what I want to ask is, why has operational policing failed in that area? I believe there's a PSPO on that area, is there? Why isn't that patrolled like the high street? I've had to walk over to the club over there where police officers sitting in a car and say to them, look, there's 20 youths over there drinking. Is there any chance you could do a patrol round that park? And they put their blue light on and go around the block, which is okay because sometimes it scatters them off a little bit. But we're not getting the service there, and as my colleague said, you want more money, for policing, more money for your guys who seem to like sitting in the high street in a 4x4 watching it all go on. It just doesn't give the public any confidence whatsoever. So where has operational policing failed is my question, and is it because the crime commissioners has become politicised and you're all on the same side? The police used to get the police board, which held the police commissioner to account. It's now all happy families and all work together, as I see it. That's my
So I sense that there's a few people that wish to speak on this subject. Would we like to hear from the people first, and then we'll go to
I think it would probably be helpful to hear
to hear
more,
everything.
and we'll try and pick out the individual. I mean,
Okay.
no, it's not politicised, but I'll answer that a bit later.
No.
Would
I'll find out the police
Yeah.
numerous times.
So,
I've been
shall we-
told by, I've been told by, we ain't got the police to come round, turn up. That's what they told me. I said, there's a crime going on outside my place in Warrior Square, and it's happening now. Come round, like you can see what's happening. And I've got told by, we ain't got a police officer. And that's it, just let it get on with it. And I was watching what was going on, and I've phoned up numerous times and said what's going on in the alleyway at the back of Warrior Square, drug deals, like people doing everything, and like, and no one turns up. I get phone calls 2 weeks later saying, oh, you phoned up the police, like that incident. And this has happened numerous times. Like, he's got things on his like a doorbell phone with people fighting with machetes, and you just like give him a warning for money.
Okay, I understand you wish to speak about this as well.
Thank you. So we're also residents of Warrior Square. Now, I appreciate, I live next to a park, I expect noise, I expect a low-level antisocial behaviour. I've lived there for 20 years, 21 years, no, 25 years in fact. So I've seen quite a lot in the park. However, when I call up the police on 999, it's because I know that it's escalating and I can see that it's reaching a point where actually we need support. So on the particular occasion, on the 7th of this month, I could see that the crowd, and there was a crowd of users, there often is in the park, at 1:30 in the morning, has escalated out into the street. They had unfortunately accessed furniture and stuff that had been left dumped in the road, which is quite common unfortunately, had been sitting there for a few days. Were then smashing the chairs and the furniture into cars across the road, throwing bottles, smashing the glass, pushing supermarket trolleys into neighbours' cars. It's at that point that I phoned the police. And I've said, this is escalating, I'm really concerned. Even if you did a drive-by, that might disperse the crowd. Unfortunately, I appreciate it was a Friday night, you're very busy, there wasn't a response. Literally an hour and 2 minutes later, they've smashed my front door, they've physically assaulted my husband who was concussed in the road and broke 2 teeth. And it moved on then down into the street. Now, I get that happens and that's unfortunate. What concerns me is where is prevention in how we are, and it wasn't just myself that called, my colleague over here, my neighbour, also called that night as well. Also, we've got CCTV in that area, but I'm told by your colleagues that there was nothing caught on camera. I get cameras can only tell in certain ways. But what frustrated me further was the following morning when the police officers were with us and taking the information, is that we were talking about saying, oh, we're going to have to look to see if we can afford to get our own CCTV. And their response was, well, that would be great because we'll be knocking on your door every day for that. That'd be really helpful. It shouldn't be down to me as a resident to be providing the CCTV for a very busy area that is constantly receiving crime, mostly from the youth. Yes, there are other generations there who are often rough sleeping and drinking, and they also cause antisocial behaviour, but it is the youth crime at the moment that is causing us the most difficulties. Lastly, it was intensified over the 2 weeks where we had City Jam in the park, and the police officers as well said that made their lives a lot harder because it affected the CCTV. So Simon, if that's something you could feedback around the boarding going up in the park, that would be helpful, because I think that did make it, certainly I knew it was a lot worse while that boarding was up in the park.
I understand this gentleman over here would like to say.
All right, it's on the same topic, yeah?
Yes,
please.
same topic.
Thank you, sir. That's all.
Yeah, hello there. Just want to reiterate on what John's actually said. In the crime rate, I'm a resident of Warrior Square North, and it's daily. I can say it's daily. I'm there every night. I live there, and the level of crime is just rocketing. And I see every, I would say about 5 days in a week, guaranteed trouble. Right? And it's the same people as John suggested or mentioned earlier on. And the thing is, the quality of life is diminished for me and for most of the residents there because of this antisocial behaviour. We get the whole shebang, the balloons, the e-scooters, the crime, the knife crime, the antisocial behaviour, the whole lot on a daily basis. And it's just not on. I have a young kid that comes every weekend to spend time with me. Now he's petrified because he hears it all the shouting, I phone up, the same old conversation takes place, we're unresourced, we haven't got enough people, but we will send someone. And that wouldn't be until the next day. Do you know what I mean? It's just pointless. And the other thing is, regarding the antisocial behaviour, I have family that want to come and spend time with me over the weekend. They've stopped coming because of the level of crime. It frightens them. So the quality of life is diminished for me. It's making me more anxiety. It's creating anxiety, depression, you name it. I'm always on alert in the middle of the night. Any noise that goes on, I'm afraid. And I'm afraid for the scooter, my little boy that comes every weekend. And for him just to turn around and say, look, Mummy, I don't want to go to Daddy's because he's afraid. It's heartbreaking. I've had a house on the market now, so I'm considering moving, for over a year. No one's bothered to come and tell me even look. Because of the crime. That's what the estate agents told me, it's the level of crime. Something needs to be done. It's becoming a joke. And there's many of us in Warrior Square, even some people that couldn't make it tonight, that say the same thing. And it's the phone calls on a regular basis that we make to the police that are unanswered.
I'll go to Leighton first.
Would anybody else like to comment on Warrior Square? There's just a gentleman there.
And the lady there.
Mr. Hurst, when you were in the last election, right, you put out in your statements that you wanted a more local, visible and accessible policing, and ensuring the police are there when you need them to give an effective response, follow up with all reasonable lines of inquiry, drive down antisocial behaviour and crime, more hotspot policing,
Yep.
very important there, monitoring known offenders to prevent crime, protection of rural areas, probably not that, so that, and beat knife crime and drug bans, right? All those, they were the first three statements you made
Yes.
for election, which you were elected on.
Yes.
But it hasn't happened in Warrior Square at all. Has it? No. So what I'd like to know is when is it going to happen and what's going to be done?
So we've got one more comment at the back, and then we'll.
I haven't finished it.
Sorry. Okay.
It's on there. Now, also, you have signs around there which say, if you're drinking, it's a £500 fine, right? Very rarely does a police officer attend. Some of your PCOs, whatever they're called, will occasionally walk past, tell them not to put the drink away, they just tell them to go away, and they go away, right? What is the point of having those signs if it's an offence and nobody's going to enforce it? You either take them down and let people do what they want, right? Now, there's continual drug taking every day. If you walk along past the benches, you can always smell cannabis, always. That is an offence, right? Okay, you may give them a warning once, but you don't do that 2 or 3 times, then it becomes an arrestable offence, yes? Yes. Why isn't that done? No? It's, you know, it's a matter of very simple things to be proactive rather than reactive as a police force. And it's not happening. So can you tell us when you're actually physically going to do something?
So we'll go to the lady at the back, and then.
Just take that from the lady at the back. On Warrior Square.
I live on the corner of Warrior Square and Chichester Road. It's a ground floor flat, and I have trouble with the people that come out of the clubs and the pubs in the early hours of the morning on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This last couple of months there have been an increased number of people that think it's funny to bang on my bedroom window or to lean on my windowsill and just chat and what have you. I've got 3 dogs, and they all wake up barking because somebody has banged on the window. And at the moment, I'm very lucky that they've done it with the flat of the hand, very, very hard, I have to say, because they could easily break it. My little dog, I know there's lots with the people, but my little dog just sits there and shivers. He's frightened of all the noises. When I have the windows open in the summertime especially, I do sometimes have to close the window because of the smell of the drugs drifting across the road. And like they've been saying, with the bottles and the glass, walking the dogs across the road is very dangerous. It's the case now. I'm making inquiries about trying to sell my flat. It didn't used to be that bad in Warrior Square. In March this year, I lost my mum, and since then I've had about 4 trips to the hospital through stress and angina, which has only just happened, and various other illnesses on top of that. The anxiety, because you know from sort of 10 o'clock at night until 4:30 in the morning, because the clubs chuck out at 4. It's so very, very horrendous, and you can't say anything because you just get abused, even through the window. They just have to step. They just lean on my windowsill because I haven't got a wall around the front. Because to put the wall up, to stop them leaning on my windowsill, I've got to get planning permission. And as a single person, I just can't afford to have that done. So it's really important for me that this antisocial behaviour is taken seriously and something is done about it sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for bringing this forward. I know it's not an unknown issue because I've actually been down there myself about 6 months ago with the police and accompanied a patrol on Warrior Square, so I know that it's a known area. But I think what you're describing here this evening is not something that you should have to put up with. You're not just talking about antisocial behaviour. A lot of what you've been describing is crime. And clearly some of it is getting well out of hand, and you've described a situation which is worsening and is worse than it was before. So I'm going to invite the 2 senior officers we have here. I'll start with Chief Superintendent Hammett to comment.
Sorry Dave, I've broken my own rules. I said to Dave before we come that I'd let him speak first. I'm Dave's boss. The reason that I've grabbed the mic is because I want you to know that I've listened and we'll take this really seriously. Dave and I haven't been in these posts for very long. We've been around policing for a long time. And I'll start with an apology. I'm really sorry that you're having to live with this. It sounds to me there's a myriad of problems. So youths, nightclub ejecting, sounds like maybe some homeless or street drinkers. There's more than one issue that are combining and making this a really difficult place for you to live. Lady here, you're normalising it, and I'm sorry that you feel that you're talking that way. You shouldn't have to. That's sad for me to hear. I'm aware of the incident that you referred to with your partner. I read that when it came in the morning and we spoke about the response. There's something called problem-orientated policing. In essence is we listen to you, we get around the table, and we work out the best way to design this problem out and to mitigate it. Policing will play a big part in that. There's other things we can consider with Simon's help and other people around, different things we can do to make it less desirable for people to congregate. I suppose my commitment to you tonight is me and Dave will go away, we'll be in contact, and we'll look to take this forward. Short term, we'll increase the policing presence.
How much by?
We'll go away. I'm not going to. If I commit something here, that would be unfair, but we will, and we'll talk to you about it. But I would like to do something longer term and get more people around the table because we can deter and prevent doing that for a short term. But there's something more meaningful that we need to do with you. I don't know any of you. I'm going to have to put an element. You have to put an element of trust in me and Dave to take this away. But publicly, you've got our commitment to try to do something meaningful to support you because what we've heard tonight is unpalatable, and Dave and I haven't joined to do this to let people, good people like you, live in this kind of
Well, the thing is,
situation.
it's got to be done
So,
sooner rather
no, I
than
hear
later.
that. I hear
It's
that.
not a matter of urgency.
Mhm.
I'd just like to say the final insult, really, to Warrior Square was, I don't know who had the bright idea, I don't know, but the final insult to Warrior Square was the police knocking on the doors, asking us for knives, if we had any knives we wanted to hand in. And most of us said, over there, right, over the road. Why aren't you stopping and searching these people, especially when I've called it in, and I've seen the knives, I've called it in, and they've just let them carry on drinking. And excuse me, that was, you're knocking on my door, asking for...
That's great that we've raised these situations.
Yeah,
and
just,
we'll just hear from
Chief
the
Inspector.
Chief Inspector.
I know about that operation that you're referring to, and that was something that was managed centrally by a team of officers. It's called Operation Adder, where it was trying to increase the knowledge levels around what the government are trying to do to take knives off the streets. So they took plenty of knives off the streets, but I get they're probably knocking on the wrong doors sometimes, aren't they?
Well, they've not taken them off the streets because they're people who go, oh well, I've got this machete in my shed that I don't want. You know, all this axe, they had an axe in the box.
There's been some really useful legislation that came in last week, which makes it a criminal offence to possess anywhere these knives. And they're like the serrated ones, like the zombie, Rambo type knives.
Not even all of the zombie knives.
Okay, so hopefully in the past couple, correct me if I'm wrong, but hopefully in the past couple of weeks you've seen slightly more police.
I've seen the police today, actually.
Just on that, as Mr. Hammett has said, so I haven't been here that long at all, and it's not nice to hear what you're going through. So you've got my undertaking that you've got my attention, and I'll be doing something about it. Something that I discussed with my CCT inspector last week was that very topic. And I walked past Warrior Square, and I think I saw some of the users that you've been talking about there. So we're restructuring how many people we've got on the town and how many hours they work, and that will give us an awful lot more hours, staffing hours, to patrol the high street. It's not just the high street, it's the town centre team, but the town centre team, it's Warrior Square for me. So we've got some fantastic CCTV coverage there. I'm just talking to Simon.
Unfortunately, not on the side where the benches are, because the trees.
And that's something for me to take on. Let me finish.
Okay.
Before it breaks down.
Let's just hear what...
Let me finish. So I was just talking to, that's fine. I was just talking to Simon before this meeting started about some funding streams that we've got that will really give us some added visibility in and around the town centre, and those youths that you're talking, without mentioning any names here, we have an operation to target those youths, but you've got my undertaking that we'll be doing a lot more. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, the council can do things. There's one light in Warrior Square in the park. There's a whole road.
So-
You can fix them tomorrow.
So I think we need to...
You don't have to worry about the money because they can get it from your £1.5 million fund. Because they can apply for it.
They can apply for it. That's
lighting is one of the things you
it
say.
is indeed, absolutely.
So can he do that now? If he hasn't done it, if he hasn't got the money, get on and get the lights fixed.
So can I just say, we clearly need to have a specific meeting with the police and probably with the council around this. Are any of you prepared to give us your details and be a little bit of a coordinator and leader? So we've got 3 people there. After the meeting, can we please take those just so that we actually follow up with this? And as you say, it needs dealing with properly. It's clearly well out of hand and needs to be.
Roger, can we just hear from the lady at the back?
Yes, let's please go to the back again. Sorry, Clive.
It's all right.
Thank you. One of the things